Oh my gosh, it has been the day, and I just gotta say, hey, this next podcast episode is going to be fire, fire, fire. I just listened to a clip of Dr. Lee Merritt because someone commented on my Patreon today and was like, dude, you need to branch out and get on people's podcasts. And I'm like, man, I've been saying somebody needs to interview me, you know? And I used to interview people, but somebody needs to interview me. And I had this guy that knows my stepdad from the ministry and held a fundraising thing for him. And it's crazy how God did this. I was interviewing in place of this woman on a radio station in Dallas, and he ended up being her next guest, and she wanted me to interview him. Turns out we knew him already. I barely knew him. I had just met him one time. And since then, he's been wanting me to interview him, but he just cannot listen properly when I tell him I need a heads up, and I need a proper heads up because I'm so swamped. But the real truth is that he needs to interview me because what I'm exposing needs to get out there. And so today, the friend on the podcast, my podcast supporter, who also follows me here, shout out to you, said, you know, I reached out to this and I gave him your email. I was like, okay, great, thank you. So I listened to their latest podcast episode with Dr. Lee Merritt. I finally had to fast forward past the 30 minutes because everything she said I already knew, and I already covered in my podcast years ago. So I fast forwarded like big time, dragged the cursor, and I was listening, and then I stopped right at a certain point, which is going to complement the next episode of my DNA hoax series in my member Patreon so freaking well. And I just need to release this right now and get this off my mind because it's 5 p.m. and I'm worn out. I gotta go downstairs and get these deliveries. I've got to transplant these new green tea plants. I've got to start this batch of salsa verde today. I know I'm missing stuff, and oh man, I've got to get these components of this next podcast episode at least all put into one folder of my gallery at the very least, because trying to keep track of all these components of this new episode is a lot, and I have to release it. I have to get it together. I wrote down some stuff. I'm getting better at that, but it complements it so freaking well, and it's what took me years to finally figure out. And it's what's revealed and exposed in the new series that is the new thing since Flat Earth, in my opinion. And it goes along with everything I've been exposing. The synthetic vitamins, the stuff coming out of the skies, the synthetic drugs, like the ones people, even the most awake people, patriots and believers, have been advertising, like the giddy up brr, stuff, etc. The binders, all has something in common, and it's what is really doing all the damage. I've got clips from Sabrina Wallace, so I'm going to put it here in the comments for anyone who's interested for my member Patreon. When that podcast episode is up, I am not going to pressure myself to do it tonight, but what I will do is just get it all organized, collected here. And whenever that's up, there's going to be a 30-second preview, and you guys can take a listen to that. I want to say one more thing. You know about the guy? He's left me several voicemails talking down about where I am in life, talking down and disparaging what I do and saying you should be doing something better, and just really, like I said, talking down about my situation. And it's another thing that has made me not appreciate him doing that. And I've tried to tell him what I'm doing is very important and it's helping a lot of people. He has no clue, and it's just very interesting.